right, so one of the biggest questions that I get asked from club owners and main promoters, especially main promoters, guys that own companies, guys and girls that own their own promoting company, the question is, how do I grow my team? So how do you grow your team? I think there's only two things that you really need as base in order to understand and be able to do so. The first thing is actually knowing your numbers. You gotta understand, know your numbers 100%. And the second thing is you have to be willing to share your profits. So let's go back into each one of those. What do I mean by understanding your numbers? Okay, so you gotta know how many parties do you have, what kind of numbers are you doing in those parties, how much money are you really making, so that you know how much money you can spare and how much money you can actually be able to give away. So look at your numbers in this way. For me, it's easy to know. Say I have 4 parties and I know that my parties are doing an average of 30,000 each. Let's talk about each individually. A $30,000 night for me means that there's going to be a $3,000 door. There should be around 10% of what the sales are in the bar. That works for us. It doesn't mean that that's your numbers. You could have a 20%. It all really depends on what your numbers are. You got to understand. So in my case, $30,000 night means I have a $3,000 door, and in my deal is my usual deal, which is 100% of the door and 20% of the bar. That means that on that night I also make $6,000 from the bar. So 6,000 plus 3,000, it's a $9,000 night. I also know my numbers in such a way that I understand that my expenses are going to be between 50 and 60%. So let's say that we're talking about 50%. That leaves me with 4,500, right? So 4,500 is the money that I would split with my partners on that specific night, unless I have any extra, sponsorships or anything else coming in. So me knowing that, then I know what I can play with, right? That's the first thing. I know, okay, I'm okay. I can, this is how much money I'm making. Let me take it from there. I'm able to pay my guys a little better, all that kind of stuff. Then you look at all their deals. You figure out how much money are they making and why are they maybe not happy, and they're doing this as a pastime. A lot of people do the promoting as a hobby and not as a career for some reason. And I think it's the fact that they're never given the opportunity to actually grow within. So it's better if you actually think of your teammates as your possible partners of the future. Sharing the profits is not, I'm not saying, hey guys, so half of what I make, I'm gonna give to you. No, what I'm saying in this case is be able to bring them up in whatever they're making. So their commissions, they make commission on the table. So if you get 20% from your deal, and every table sold by your promoters, you're getting 20%, give them 10. That makes them 50% partner on that table with you, whatever they're bringing. Same goes for the people at the door. They benefit more than you sometimes, as a matter of fact, because a sub promoter is able to bring in people for free. So that means if they bring a person in for free, that person has spent $0, right? And you haven't made a penny from them yet, but you are paying that promoter for that person, right? So it also depends in the end, how much money are your customers spending inside. So if you know that you sell $30,000 a night, and you know that to make that number, you had 500 people, so you have to make, go 30,000 divided in 500, so that gives me how much per person. Now you know how much each person is valued to you inside the club. So you also understand how much are you really going to be making for every person. How much are you willing to give these promoters back to make them grow within your company? That's another way. Now, other things that you need besides this is understanding them completely, knowing what they really want, right? So give them a few responsibilities. Some of the promoters might not feel good about going and having a job where all they're doing is inviting people, coming, hosting, having a good time, and that's it. Drinking, having fun, and nothing else to do. So if you find responsibilities within your job to give to other promoters and find a way to pay them for those things that they're doing and they're taking away from you, the better. The more you delegate, the better in the end. Say your drink tickets and your bottle tickets, you give them to one promoter that you really trust. And you say, I want you to give this to all the subs. Make sure you give them 4 each. And at the end of the night, whatever you were getting, I'm gonna double your number because of you're helping me with this. Plus, I'm gonna pay you an extra whatever amount. It's gotta be according to you, whatever you feel comfortable with giving that person, because numbers are gonna be different from city to city in the end. Another thing that might not be for everybody, but it is for most people, is giving praise. Most people wanna, you know what? I think it's everybody in the end. Some people might not, want it out loud or whatever, but most people, rather be praised. And as a matter of fact, most people are gonna want it in front of everybody else. So remember to praise when they're doing good, because they're the ones that are helping you build this company, all right? They're the ones bringing the people. Not always are your subs the ones that bring most of the people. As a matter of fact, from me talking to a lot of the companies, I have realized companies that have 20, 30 sub promoters and their sub promoters are bringing 25% of the customers. The rest is coming from the actual main promoters and from the club and the word of mouth in general. So the opposite of giving praise, which would be critique in this case, that one thing you want to do in private. That's another thing. If you want to grow your team, make sure that you don't critique people in front of everybody else. A mistake I've made in the past, and I think it has to do with the way things were done before and the way things are being done nowadays. And I think this is a lot better, makes a lot more sense. But yeah, critique in private, praise in public, and at the same time, make sure to praise to everybody that deserves it. Don't praise just for praising. Praise to those who are doing the job right, and make sure to let them know that you're looking, that you're watching, and that you want them to grow within the company. And then last but not least is probably the most obvious part of this, but it is one that a lot of people forget, and it is that you have to be always at all times scouting. Go to all the universities, colleges, even high school, depending on when, what age group your parties are. And if you're starting from the lower end where I started, I was 17. So as long as it's legal, of course, go to those places, get people there that might be interested in joining you, in being part of this. Go to other parties, meet other promoters at other venues that might not be happy, and start from there and just scout all day long. Because when it comes to promotion, the more the merrier, and it's easier to clean afterwards and let some leave, the ones that weren't, they weren't in it to win. But those, you might find somebody where you never thought possible, and you may have already ran into the best promoter out there and you have not mentioned the possibility of working with you. So scout, and grow within the company. Don't, afterwards, after they already joined you, make sure everybody in there knows that they could grow. My partners, all of them right now, 100% of my partners did not start as owners of the company, and at this current time, they own a percentage of the company as much as I do. So I believe 100% in sharing. So should you. All right, see you guys on the next